So I'll have to leave for let's call to order the board review for Tuesday, May 28th at 6:15. Next item would be selection of the chairperson. I would like to nominate Ed Kranick as chairperson of the board of review.
Second.
Motion is second to select me as the chair. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? I am elected chair 5-0. Next item, item 3, verification at least one member of the board of review has met the mandatory training requirements specified in Wisconsin State Statute 70.46 paren 4. I believe that states that at least one member of the board of review needs to take the training at least once a year,
Yes, and we have one that's taken it, so,
and that would be me.
Mr. Kranick.
Good job, Eb. The next item is that the open book is not yet complete. And I would look to adjourn the board of review until Thursday, June 27th at 5 o'clock at this location.
Motion to adjourn
A second.
until Thursday, June 27th at 5 p.m.
A second.
Motion a second to adjourn the board of review till the 27th at 5 p.m. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Board of review is now adjourned. I would like to call the order the Town of Delafield Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, May 28th. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'll call the roll, please?
Supervisors, Mahoney Ogden,
Present.
Supervisor Miller,
Present.
Supervisor Wolfley,
Present.
Supervisor Michaels,
Present.
Chairman Kranick.
Present. Next item, citizens' comments. There are no citizens in the audience, so I'm going to go to the next item. Item 5 would be the approval of the minutes for May 14th, 2024.
I would motion to approve the minutes of May 14th, 2024.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next item would be actions on vouchers submitted for payments. There are no actions to amend the 2024 budget, so I look for a motion to approve accounts payable and payroll.
Motion to approve payment of checks 67671 through 67693 in the amount of $26,882.12, and move to approve payroll checks dated May 24th, 2024 in the amount of $16,205.70.
Second.
Motion is second to approve accounts payable and payroll. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? They're approved 5-0. Next item, communications for discussion and possible action. There are none. Unfinished business, there is none. Item 9, new business. Discussion and possible action on request for proposals for audit services for 2025. Administrator Green?
Sure, so before you is a request for proposals for the 2025 audit year and beyond, depending on how whoever responds to these does in 2025, and if we want to keep moving forward with them. Howard, as we all know, is left after over 40 years of service to the town. He will not be replaced easily, but we have to start. So this is the start of that. The RFP has been vetted through Howard himself. It was sent to our municipal attorney as well, with some corrections and changes. So what you have is the final version. So I'll be sending it to Baker Tilly, who's a larger company that's a national company, but also Ingleson and Associates is a recommendation from Howard himself. They audit Howard's audit, so that Howard recommended them. And there's one more recommendation. I don't have the name of the company, but I'll get it tomorrow from another staff of Howard's who recommended a company that helps similar to how Howard's company helped with some of the taxes and things like that go a little bit beyond the scope of just the audit. So my recommendation, since the audit typically starts in November, is to get this out in June and get a response by the end of June, July, and then bring it back to the board so that we can discuss and potentially vote on.
Yeah, that's
some
great.
And if by chance anybody has any companies they know of that does municipal audits, I'd be happy to send it to them as well. And
Just say so it doesn't, so those three are the three that we'll be sending it out to, but really anybody can say, hey, I heard you're doing an RFP.
yeah, we'll put it on the website too, so
Okay.
people can respond that way.
Okay, great.
As far as wide as you can, right?
Yeah.
I motion that we put out an RFP for audit services with the condition too that you're open to other suggestions of to whom may receive that request for audit services for 2025.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the RFP for audit services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next item is discussion of possible action on a website development proposal from Revise for implementation in 2025. Administrator Green?
Yeah, just a quick update on this. I had a meeting with a representative from Revise about 6 months ago, and he walked me through the websites that they design, but also the back end of how you operate those websites, how you change information. And it seemed to be a lot more intuitive, and it seemed like there was more control of the content and design, I guess, that makes up the website. Civic Plus, it's great. It's been good to us, but there's limitations to it, and this seems to really open the door for a lot more customization without having to go to the company to have them change things. Another point of discussion is that Civic Plus just upped our contract by like $800
Oh.
for the year, and although there's an upfront cost to going to Revise as far as the migration goes, the month or the yearly cost is $2,300, and we're over it's like $3,300 for Civic Plus right now, so it's about $1,000 savings. It's not really a savings because of the upfront cost of the migration and the web design, but at some point we'll do a web design with Civic Plus too, which will end up costing us money as well. So it doesn't have to be Revised. We can look at other companies. The three big ones though that do government websites really well are Civic Plus, Revise, and Granicus. Those are the consistent three that I keep seeing. So we can certainly reach out to Granicus too. I did talk to the City of Waukesha's IT director today. The reason they were with Civic Plus and they switched to Revise, and their biggest reason for changing was similar to why we were looking, because of the increased charges. And then if you want to change creative content that beyond what you can in the back end of the website, they charge you. They charge you $200 or $300. We dealt with this in New Berlin as well. It wasn't as big of a deal here because we don't really have a lot of content changes that we want to make. But as we start exploring more capabilities of the website, I have a feeling we're going to start to see some of those charges or want to make changes that we're going to have to start paying for. So if anything, the discussion today would just be to see if the board would be willing to have staff look at other options, I guess. I do have some examples of websites that Revise has done. I can put them on the screen if anybody's interested.
Well, it looks like they do Waukesha's.
Yeah, I saw that.
They do. Yes, they do.
Clarify what you want us to tell you to do. Revise, or you want us just to look into options? Tell you to look into options.
Well, I guess that's really up to Mr. Kranick, because he was in on that another meeting we had with Revise. I think he liked some of the capabilities as well, but I think we're.
I like Revise, but I mean, if the board feels that we need to get other options, I'm open to that. I think that making the transition from Civic Plus to Revise will allow us to take the website to kind of the next step. I mean, Civic Plus kind of got us off the ground, but I think some of the things we want to do are outside of the basic templates that Civic Plus provides, and then any customizations they would want to charge us for, versus Revise gives us the opportunity to do some of those changes in-house with really easy-to-use customizations, or they're able to do some of that stuff without charging us the development work for it. So
Is there any aspect or understanding as far as what to expect price-wise from what was the third company that you mentioned?
Granicus.
Granicus?
I don't. I've
expensive, less
heard
expensive,
of them,
same?
but I've never worked with them. I've worked with Civic Plus. Revise, obviously, we have the quote from them. I know Waukesha actually uses Revise only to keep some of their archived minutes and agendas, because I think they used to use them a long time ago. But I have a feeling the information they have is probably outdated from what they have now. So it'd be worth reaching out to them.
What are the costs for the migration? You mentioned there's going to be costs regardless. What, like roughly, what is it?
So I think it's 10,000 for the design, for both the design and the migration. I don't know that they break the costs out from one to the other. And then it's a $2,300 a year charge after that.
Okay.
So
And Civic Pluses was going to be how much?
I don't know. It depends on if we want to do a refresh or not, which
Okay.
I think we'd probably want to soon. When we implemented Civic Plus, I want to say it was like 12,000, something like that. I'd have to look back. We did it in early or mid 2020. But I want to say it was pretty similar to the price, maybe a little bit more than what theirs is.
When I talked to Dan about it, too, my question was, I know you did a little tutorial, I would feel more comfortable, I'm totally fine in supporting that we look at another option. I just said, I would just like to see, is there more than just that option? My gut feeling was, we couldn't find a company in Wisconsin that does this, but yeah, it sounds like this is a niche, which I get, so I was questioning, like, what is WTA, what do some of the other towns do in Wisconsin? I was just more curious, so Dan and I had a little discussion, being that it was tonight, I asked a similar question, Supervisor Michaels, what do you want today? Are we actually deciding, or are we just sort of discussing it? So I'm good with motioning to explore it, whether it's revised, perhaps they could give us a little tutorial ourselves, so we could get a little sampling of it, or just make sure there isn't anything else out there that we want to explore before we go further.
Yeah, and maybe what I could do is have him kind of give a presentation in general that I can record on YouTube and then play to you guys so that you guys have it. Something like that, or just have a recorded PowerPoint that he can present that you guys can see. I don't necessarily know if it matters to you guys what it's like on the back end of it, because you guys won't be
Sure,
logging
if you find it easy, that's the most important thing to do, right? More functionality and easier for residents is what we're after, right?
yeah.
They can show you from a user exactly what capabilities and what things that you guys would want to see. There are add-ons we could do that costs. They have additional costs, but one would Ed and I were talking about it was forms, where people could fill out a form online and have it submitted to a group of email addresses, so people could fill out their bartender's license and send them directly
Like
to us.
dogs
Or
licenses,
building,
yeah.
dogs, building, anything like that. It's a yearly fee, but there's unlimited forms, so you have unlimited uses for it. So I could see that possibly being something that would be worth the money.
Well, and the thing that we talked about too is that if it gave us the capability to generate emails to people, so that as opposed to doing our newsletter, or in addition to doing a newsletter, and as opposed to just doing Notify Me, we could also put something together if we had something more content that we didn't want to just have on our website. We wanted to, but I know then we have to get email addresses, which is another whole conversation, but we could work on that.
Well, it has that functionality, but I believe with Revise, they have the ability to track who opens those emails and then extract what emails are actually using the service.
Yeah, that was a big thing with Revise, that they actually could get some metrics around, if we did do a newsletter or do something and blasted it via email, we could actually see click rates and who opened it and who didn't open it, and see how it was performing based on different campaigns, if we wanted to do something like that.
And I think that was the original intent for even having a discussion with Revise is to try and get more metrics to our website that we didn't have now, so. And who knows, maybe Granicus has something even better. And it doesn't just have to be Granicus. I can do some research and see if there's other websites that places are using. I just know in the general area, typically it's Civic Plus, Revise. I know there's a couple of websites out there, but, and then for some of the smaller communities that, like I know Shaniqua, they probably just use it like a web.com, similar to what we had prior to, but they probably don't get as many hits with the amount of residents they have, so. Yeah. And I don't necessarily think we need a motion if you guys,
I was gonna say, I guess, so what's the, if we're looking for a 2025 implementation, is that like January 1? Is that June 1st? Is that like, what sort of timeline are we working on for that? And then as far as the
Well, we did a-
implementation and
we did a-
changeover.
We did a one-year extension with Civic Plus to buy us time, but the changeover and the implementation, they're talking, what, 8, 9 months to do the design work and stuff?
yeah. So we'd probably want to know in the next 2 months, I think.
By the end of the summer.
Okay. So,
I have no objection to the project. And
yeah,
theory,
I'm all for.
you guys to know what's the best product out
Yeah,
there.
right. You know, I think as long as we can keep it on a timeline that keeps us in pace to, you know, not renew a more expensive contract,
Right.
then, you know, yeah, let's check it out to a person or two. I don't think we necessarily want to shotgun it to everybody if there's,
No, but I think let's motion to direct staff to bring back a couple more options so that we can make sure that we
I'm gonna
did our
agree
due
with that.
diligence and
Sure.
did it right.
Yeah, well, okay, I motion to have staff pursue website development proposals for implementation in 2025, using your discretion. And then we can revisit when we have a few more options, but we motion supporting going forward.
Second.
Motion and a second to direct staff to look into options for website development. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes 5-0. Next item, announcements of planning items. There's a plan commission meeting next Tuesday, June 4th. There's one item on the agenda for a fence height between the lake, so should be a short meeting. Next Tuesday at 6:30. Town boards Tuesday, the 11th at 6:30. Town board on the 25th at 6:30, and then make sure everybody has Thursday, the 27th, for the border review at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
And then the next item would be a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned 5-0.